Hey friends, it's almost May, and you know what that means? It's almost summer here in Florida, and it is hot. I was at the Magic Kingdom today, and to be honest, I got a little burnt. I'm here to give you 10 tips to help you beat the heat while you're visiting Walt Disney World here in Orlando, Florida. Number 1, make sure you drink plenty of water. And when I say drink plenty of water, I don't mean 1 bottle. I don't mean 2 bottles. I would say at a minimum like 4 bottles per person. Now I'm not saying go out and buy 4 bottles of water at Disney because that would be like $12 a person. If you're a family of 4, that's nearly $50 in water. What you can do though is if you buy 1 bottle, or if you bring a bottle, or if you can even bring your own Yeti or reusable water bottle and just refill that. I actually, when I bring my Yeti to the park, I'll go to a quick service restaurant and I'll ask for a cup of water and I'll refill it with the ice in the water. That way it stays nice and cold. But not only is it important to drink lots of water so you stay hydrated, but when you're outside and it's hot, your body sweats, and that's the natural, that's your body's natural response to cool you off. Well, if you don't have enough fluids in you, your body's going to get to the point where you're sweating so much that you're going to become dehydrated, and being dehydrated is no fun. So you need to replace those liquids that you're sweating out. Number 2, wear sunscreen. I know I've preached this many times, but as you can see, I actually got sunburned today a little bit. You can tell, I don't know if you can tell, but I got a little bit of sun here and on my shoulder. Wear sunscreen. I was actually talking to these 2 women when I was in line today, and they were talking about how, why do they keep getting sunburned? And I said, well, how many times do you reapply sunscreen? And they're like, oh, I don't know, every like 5 to 6 hours. No. You need to reapply sunscreen I like to say every hour and a half to 3 hours. Now that might seem like a big spread, but it depends on how much indoor activities you're doing. So if you're going to the parks and trying to get there at park open at 9 a.m. and you're just riding rides the entire time, you're going to be out in the sun. Whereas if you're getting there at 9 a.m. but you have a 9:15 breakfast reservation at the Crystal Palace and you're there until 11:30, you probably don't really need to reapply. A lot of the time, people don't think they need to reapply because they're inside. But even just spending, 5 minutes can add up. Now, vitamin D is excellent for you, and that's actually something that I've realized that I definitely don't get enough of, but don't confuse getting vitamin D with protecting your skin and preventing against skin cancer. So, especially when you're out in the sun, you're sweating, so most of the time you're going to sweat the sunscreen off. Reapply. You can never reapply sunscreen too much. And with that being said, if you don't have sunscreen with you in the park, I know it's tough to handle, but paying the $15 for a bottle of sunscreen in the long run is going to be worth it. I'd personally much rather spend $15 than to not end up like a lobster and be miserable or possibly even have sun poisoning for the rest of my vacation. So that's my 2 cents on that. Also, if you don't wear sunscreen, it can increase your temperature, internal temperature, and that can make you hotter on top of being in the sun to begin with. And a lot of sunscreens, I actually saw this earlier when I was at the drugstore, but they have cooling, not lidocaine, but they've got cooling aspects to it. And a lot of the ones that come in like the aerosol cans actually feel cool when you apply them. So that can help cut down on the heat as well. It's a nice relief. Number 3, utilize air conditioning and shade. I know everyone loves walking down the middle of Main Street, USA, but if it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon and it is 90 degrees, instead of walking down Main Street to leave the park, cut through the Emporium. It's air conditioned and is covered, so you're away from the sun. Also, if you and your group are trying to make a decision, so my family and I were at Magic Kingdom today. We were in Storybook Circus, and we were trying to figure out what to do next. And they're standing all out in the sun, and I literally, Big Top Souvenirs was 15 feet to my left. I'm like, guys, Let's not stand out in the sun. Let's make a decision in the air conditioning in the shade. People don't care if you walk inside buildings to talk things over and try to make a decision. They don't care if you walk into the shops to get out of the heat. They'd much rather have you get out of the heat than have you pass out in their park, which is no fun. Having a medical injury, no fun. Disney, from what I've heard, Disney always takes care of it above and beyond, but you don't want that part of your family vacation. Or if there isn't any AC around, so we were also in the hub trying to figure out, I was doing a mobile order for Casey's, and so I went over, they're like, do you realize you're standing by a trash can? I'm like, yeah, but it's in the shade and I'm not getting sunburned right now, so like, A+. So if there's no AC around, try to find some shade. Magic Kingdom is very good about having shade, and so is Animal Kingdom. Now I will say, Animal Kingdom will run a lot hotter than the rest of the parks and a lot colder than the rest of the parks. I don't know why. Someone once told me that it had something to do with the way the park was elevated and whatnot. I don't know about that. So Animal Kingdom does have a lot of shade, but it also, I don't know why, but it always feels at least 15 degrees hotter there in the summer. I think it has to do with a lot of the pavement, so who knows. Number 4, if you're staying on site or at a nearby hotel where you can take a bus, or even if you drive, it doesn't really matter as long as you've got a place to go back to. You don't have to do an entire 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. day in the park. You don't. I understand that you want to make the most of your family vacation, but in the long run, you will get much more memorable moments out if you're able to take those breaks. For example, let's say the park, you're staying on site and the park opens at 8 a.m. for extra magic hours. Perfect. Go at 8 a.m. Stay until maybe 11, maybe grab lunch, 12 o'clock, head back to your resort, go to the pool, take a nap, shower, get some fluids back in you, then go back out to the park around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, maybe go to dinner and then go back to the park. You will realize after doing that how much more you enjoy yourself when you're able to give yourself a little bit of a break. This is something I do when I'm going to the park, and I'm local. Like, I drive there every time. If I have the opportunity, now I say that. When I say I take a break, I don't go to like a hotel and go swim in their pool. No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, I might go to, if I'm at the Magic Kingdom, I might take the monorail over to the Contemporary and sit in there and get lunch at Contempo Cafe and read a book and just take in the AC. Or go over to the Grand Floridian and listen to the band play. Or get a Dole Whip at the Polynesian and sit in their lobby and just enjoy, relax, chill out. So definitely take advantage if you are staying on site or staying in a nearby hotel where you can either bus or drive over. If you are paying for parking every day, no worries. Keep the receipt that they give you when you pay for your parking in the morning and just show it to them when you come back, and it counts for the entire day. So let's say you start your day off at Magic Kingdom, you pay for parking there, and then you go back to your hotel and you're like, oh, we don't want to go back to Magic Kingdom. We saw Happily Ever After last night. Let's go to Hollywood Studios and see the Fantasmic. You can take your parking, your parking receipt counts at all the different parks. So you don't have to worry about paying for parking again. So yeah, definitely take advantage of taking a break. I think most people are like, no, we need to go hard, we need to go fast. But being able to put your feet up for a little bit your body will appreciate it in the long run. Number 5, make sure you are eating. And I don't mean Mickey bars, cupcakes, and Rice Krispie treats. They're all delicious. I agree. I could totally live off those and be happy. And you might say, well, Bridget, ice cream's nice and cold. Yes, but it's not the nutrition your body needs. I'm not saying don't have ice cream. I'm saying sit down and have a meal. Your body will appreciate it in the long run, and it'll help keep you cool because it's giving your body the nutrients it needs to burn to give you your energy without having to burn current storage, like stored carbs or stored fats. It also will give your body a chance to take a break. I mentioned this obviously in the last thing, but even just sitting down to have lunch, night and day. And when I say sit down to have lunch, I understand that people are in Florida. They're in Florida and they want to spend their time outdoors. Please, if you can, take advantage of the AC. This is something I'm really bad about when I go to Epcot, is that, and it's something, to be fair, I don't think Epcot has a ton of shaded areas for you to eat. I definitely think that's something they could improve on. Shaded AC areas to eat. But if you can eat indoors, grab a reservation, grab a quick service meal indoors, your body will be able to give itself like a little timeout. Like, okay, timeout, time to recoup. And in the long run, it'll appreciate it. You might not feel a huge difference, but over doing that for like a week, night and day. Number 6, personal fans and misters. So, this sounds funny. And misters. When I say misters, I mean like the mister bottles. Personal fans, they come in all shapes and sizes. I've seen ones that you can wear around your neck and they blow up on your face. They have the handheld ones. I've seen ones that you can like clip to your shirt and they'll like blow on your face. I've seen ones that like people clip them to baby carriers, like the wearable baby carriers. They have ones that clip to strollers. Find something. And a lot of them you don't need batteries for. Which finding batteries at Disney World is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. You will find them eventually, but you will pay an arm and a leg for them. And to be honest, I'd much rather charge something via USB than have to buy batteries. And a lot of them nowadays are via battery. I think I showed, and I'll try to link it down below, but there's actually one that you can put in like an external battery. So like if you have a fuel rod, you could literally just stick it in that and use it as a fan. Misters are great because they just add a little bit of moisture to your skin and kind of keep your body refreshed. However, be careful with them because while using them, you'll have to reapply sunscreen more often because it will tend to because it's water, it will sort of wash the sunscreen away. Number 7, I love coffee. I love coffee, I love coffee, I love coffee. I don't think I could start my day without coffee. I have. It's not pretty. The only downside to coffee is got caffeine in it. Caffeine dehydrates you. I'm not saying cut out coffee. I know I couldn't, especially when running on as few hours of sleep as you do at Disney World. Minimize the amount of coffee you consume. Also, tea has caffeine in it, and soda has caffeine in it. So be careful. You might say, oh, well, it's cold, I'm rehydrating myself. Well, kind of, but the caffeine is also dehydrating you. So be careful how much like carbonated drinks and coffee and tea you're drinking. One thing I do is I naturally, when I drink coffee, it doesn't matter if it's hot or if it's cold, I'm going to sweat. So I try to limit myself to 1 iced coffee in the morning as I'm going to the park, and by the time it's finished, I should be in the park, and I toss it, and that's my coffee for the day. Now, if I'm doing a 9 to 12 a.m., there's going to be another cup of coffee in there at some point. My big thing is try to keep them either as far apart as possible or with as much hydration in between them. So if you're going to have a cup of coffee, make sure you have a bottle of water. You're getting your caffeine and you're still keeping your body hydrated. So it's perfect. Number 8. Now, you've come down to Florida, you're staying at Walt Disney World Resort. Let's say you're staying at All-Star Movies. You've paid a lot of money for that hotel. I don't care if it's a value resort. You're here for X amount of days. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of hard-earned money. What's stopping you from taking a day to enjoy the resort? Enjoy the pool. Hang out. Relax. So many of the resorts nowadays have fun activities going on during the day at the resort that you could almost make you can make an entire day at the resort. I know the Contemporary does morning yoga, and Grand Floridian does a Dance with Cinderella at 4 p.m. That's not including all the pool activities and the children's activities at the pool or the adult activities at the pool. I'm not saying spend the entire day at the pool. You can if you want. Please wear sunscreen. That's all I ask. But just because you're on vacation doesn't mean you have to be in the park. Enjoy your resort. You've spent all your hard-earned money on it. Why not take a day and enjoy it? I mean, I talked about it in the last video, but I mean, Port Orleans Riverside, they've got a scavenger hunt. And let's say, well, I've been into my resort a bunch of different times. Okay, we'll go explore the rest of the resorts. They're all inside. 90% of them are inside. Go explore Disney Springs. Go shopping, have lunch, go back to the pool, take a nap, go to a nice dinner. Just because you're at Disney World doesn't mean you have to spend it in a park. Number 9, which completely contradicts my last point. But water parks! Disney has 2 incredible water parks, and to be honest, I've actually never been. But here in about a month, we're gonna go check it out, and I'm super excited about it. They are awesome. And like really like, okay, I'm going to a water park. Is there any other way to spend a hot day? Like, could there be anything better? What more says summer vacation than spending a day at a water park? Now, just to be transparent, the water parks are extra. I've actually never been to any of Disney's water parks, which is why I'm super excited to be able to go to Typhoon Lagoon in a couple weeks. But even in winter, I say winter, everyone up north's like, when are you in now? Even in winter, they're awesome. Now, depending on when you come down, make sure you check to see if they are open. I know Blizzard Beach and Typhoon Lagoon go through a refurbishment schedule. I can't remember. I know Blizzard Beach goes first and then it's Typhoon Lagoon. And if you're coming down here in like March or even early April, sometimes make sure they're like, keep an eye on their open schedule, because if it doesn't get above a certain temperature, they won't open. But water parks are awesome, and we're going to check one out in a couple weeks. I'm super excited about that. Number 10. Frozen water bottles and snacks. I carry a backpack to the park. I know a lot of people go for crossbody or fanny packs. They are also awesome. What I do, or what I have done in the past, is the night before, take a water bottle. Doesn't matter if it's one that you bought and it's brand new. Doesn't matter if you refill it. Whatever floats your boat. What I do is I put it in the freezer. Now, I don't just put it in the freezer on its own. I wrap a wet paper towel around it, and then I put it in aluminum. We call them our baked potatoes in my family, because most of the time we do it with the small bottles, so they kind of look like baked potatoes. And what's cool about it is, so you might not want that bottle first thing in the morning, which you won't be able to drink it because it's still completely frozen, which is fine. So maybe you're going to want to bring that in another bottle of water that's just cold. But as the day progresses, you have a nice ice cold bottle of water with a piece of ice in it. And little by little, it'll start melting. Now, the reason why I recommend the wet paper towel in the foil is it insulates it, and the wet paper towel will get really, really cold. So it acts as like another barrier of keeping it cool and not like just allowing it to like melt everywhere. One thing I've also been told is, you know the Go-Go Squeeze pouches? They're not just for kids. I bring them to the park on my own. Just saying. But apparently you can put them in the freezer, and they get like almost like a slushy material, or not a material, slushy texture, which can be really refreshing and is relatively healthy. I get mine from Trader Joe's, but that's just because that's what I have always gotten. I know other people like especially parents with kids, like Go-Go Squeeze because they've got different flavors, and you can get them with veggies and whatnot. But the reason why I like them is because I keep them in my backpack and they keep my back nice and cold. So I also, and this is something that you can do, I don't think it's worth it going out and just buying it for your vacation, but for me in the long run it's worth it. I bought myself a Camelback bladder that fits perfectly in my backpack, and what I'll do is I will put ice in it and then fill it up with water, and it keeps my back nice and cool because my backpack is like mesh on the back, so it cools you, and your back is obviously one of the largest parts of your body, so and it has your spine in it, which has nerve endings that run throughout your body, so it can lower your temperature. So if you do have a Camelback, definitely recommend bringing it to the park, especially if it has one of like the wide mouth openings, because it's easy to like refill like a water fountain or with cups of water and ice. But that's all the tips I have for today. Leave any questions or comments you have down below. If you have any tips about staying cool at Walt Disney World, leave them down below. I'd love to hear them as well. Don't forget to subscribe. It's free. Just hit that little red button. And I'll see you next time. And this is Bridgette's Buzz.